In this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at some strategies for how you can memorize the open string names and the note names up the neck from open all the way up to the 12th fret. I've found that it's best when you're memorizing to try to break things into pieces and then put them together as a whole. So to memorize the open string names, we're going to break them up into two sets of three. The first group of three is the low E string, which on the chart is the lowest string on the paper, even though it's the string that's closest to your face on your guitar. It's the low E string. We're going to take the low E, the A, and the D and memorize just those three by playing them and saying them. E, A, D, A, D, A, D, A, D, A, D, A, D, E, A, D. And we'll take the second group of three, the G, B, and high E string, and do the same thing. G, B, E, G, B, E, G, B, E, G, B, E, G, B, E. And once we've got those two sets memorized, we'll put them all together. E, A, D, G, B, E. E, A, D, G, B, E. Now we've got the open string names memorized. Next, we'll begin by memorizing one string per week, starting with the open note and moving up the neck to the 12th fret, where we encounter that note again as the octave. One string a week will get you 5 weeks. You'll have all 6 strings memorized because 2 of those strings are E strings, so they're the same. What we're going to immediately encounter, though, is called the half-step rule. That means that between B and C and E and F, there is only a half step, not a whole step. A scale consists of whole steps and half steps in this order: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So on the guitar, what a half step looks like is the distance from one note, like say we play the low E string at the 7th fret, and we play a B note, and we move up only a half step, which is 1 fret, to the 8th fret, and play a C note. There's your half step distance, 1 fret. A whole step is double that. That's the distance from one dot, skip 1, to the next dot. So when we name these notes, we're watching out for the half-step rule to be able to make sure that we're looking at the right notes on the fretboard. The first note we'll start with is a low E. To get our half step, we go fret number 1 on the low E string, F. Next is a whole step. That's the first dot on the low E string. That's a G note. The good news for you, we're going to use these dots like street signs to remember where notes are on the neck. So as long as we're in standard tuning, the first dot on the low E string is always a G. Next dot is an A. There are only 7 notes in the musical alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then you have sharps and flats, which we'll talk about in later lessons. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So now we're at A. So the next note we come to in this scale is going to be a B. So we go a whole step to the next dot and say B. Now we've hit the half step rule. Half step to C, whole step to D. Notice D is not on a dot. And we finish up with a whole step from D to E at the 12th fret with the 2 dots. So our low E string, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And all you have to do to be able to memorize this is play it and say it. And every time you play those notes, make sure that you're saying them out loud to reinforce the memorization. The next week we'll move on to the A string. We start with the open A, whole step to B, which is fret 2, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, whole step back to A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Next is the D string. We've got a whole step from the D to the E, so we're starting at the 2nd fret there. So we have open D. First note we play is an E. Half step rule says F. Whole step to G. Whole step to A. Whole step to B. Half step to C. And a whole step back to D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Next string is G. Whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, Notice where the dots are. Whole step to E, half step to get F, and a whole step back to G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here's B, and we're going to have a half step, so we're going to be at the first fret on this one. B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step rule to F, G, whole step to A, whole step back to B. And the high E string. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So remember, the major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The half step rule is B and C and E and F. Memorize one string a week and you'll have them all in short time.